And the people that are talking the most about all your little shows are the LGBTQ people. We're the ones that come up with the memes. Ain't no cis straight guy coming up with no Real Housewives meme. Ain't happening.
Hey everyone, I'm John Halbach with Queerty, and today I am very excited to be chatting with New York City nightlife legend, star of Head Over Heels on Broadway, reality television icon from RuPaul's Drag Race and The Traitors, and beautiful bride on Netflix's Survival of the Thickest, Peppermint. Happy
Oh
Pride,
my
Peppermint!
gosh. Happy Pride. No. What an honor.
Congrats on being part of this year's Queerty Pride 50.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's wild. Yeah, a bunch of friends had actually seen the news before I did online, and I was getting all these text messages. They're like, "Congratulations." I was like, "What is happening?" Yeah, I'm
I was
excited. Thank
thinking,
you.
you've been a guest at the Pride 50, you've hosted the Pride
Mhm.
50, you've performed at the Pride 50, so now we just need to get you to DJ and you'll have done it all.
I mean, darling, I'll even cook the food. And let me tell you, you mentioned Survival of the Thickest, which was so wonderful this year, season two, and it was just announced that we were picked up for a third season. But I actually met my husband at the Pride 50 that I was hosting. Dan Amboyer was a guest there, and I did not know that he was going to play my husband. He actually came up to me that day. I'd never met him before. He introduced himself to me.
So yeah, I was gonna say congratulations on an amazing season two, and I wanted to ask, your character is also named Peppermint and is also a black trans woman who does drag. Was this role written for you? How did you get involved with the show?
You know, I would like to think that the role was written for me because my agent called me before season one, obviously, to say, hey, we have this TV show audition for you. And it's right up your alley. It's a black trans woman, a drag entertainer, and it's very New York, all the things I love. And I was like, great, send it my way. And they were like, but there's one thing you should know. It, the character's name is Peppermint. And I was like, wait a minute, the character's name is Peppermint, who's a black trans woman who's a drag entertainer in New York City. I was like, this is too closely aligned. I mean, if it wasn't written for me, they had to at least know who I was. You know, that's what I was thinking. And of course, what was going through my mind was like, what if I don't get it? Is someone else? Is Bianca Del Rio going to play Peppermint on? You know, like I didn't know what was going to happen. And of course, once I landed it and did the audition and then got a chance to meet for the first time Michelle Buteau, the creator and executive producer, I asked her, I was like, girl, who was going to do that part? And she was like, of course, we wrote it for you, but we just wanted to know that you could act. And I was like, okay, that's fair. They would have changed the name, I guess, if they had given it to somebody else.
So you mentioned working with Dan Amboyer. You guys were so great together. I was wondering, what did the two of you hope to convey about these characters and their relationship together?
I mean, there's only but so much you can do in a half hour comedy on Netflix. I mean, the episodes are swift, to say the least. But yeah, Michelle said that she wanted to write some authenticity about trans people because we hear so much in the news and in social media, trans people sort of being talked about in a really negative way. There's all these anti trans laws kicking us out of here. Should they belong there? And it doesn't send a really good message about trans people to people outside of the community and also to trans people themselves. And so Michelle said she wanted to not only show some authenticity, but give people, trans people, a beautiful image of trans people just being loved and respected, just like any other person deserves. And what better way to do that than a wedding? And Dan was 100% on board with all of that. He said, I mean, he is a happily married man. He's gay. He's out. His husband's beautiful, and very sweet. And they've got a wonderful family. But Dan mentioned that he wanted to, if he was going to do this, let's do this right. And let's make it convincing.
Beautifully done. I'm so glad y'all got together at the Pride 50 last year. I was thinking about the fact that season one came out during the actors' strike, and y'all's cast didn't get to promote the show the first time around. Has it felt different this time being out there, getting folks to tune in and spreading the word?
Yeah, it is. It's great that we can talk about it. It was really difficult to sort of sit and wait for the show to be released on Netflix and then not be able to not only not be able to promote it and talk about how proud I was to work with all the excellent people and Michelle and proud of my own work on the show, but then it was also kind of like nerve-wracking to have a project that you care so much about that you want to see, you want to lift it up. And luckily, people liked it, people watched it, and we obviously got picked up for a second season and now a third season. And, I think this is one of the things that a lot of people who I've talked to who might not even be in the queer community, because this is not like a gay show necessarily. This is, of course, it's very, very gay, but there's so much for people who aren't even in the community. It's about New York, which is like so mixed and so intermingled. And there's people that I've met that are like, wait a minute. And I know they would have never watched in any other capacity. And there they love it. And so I'm grateful that we can have a third season to sort of wrap things up. And I'm really happy that people can binge it in one night, because it's like the episodes are this quick.
Yeah, I was thinking about y'all during season one because I was watching the show and loved it and just felt terrible that you couldn't be out there doing talk shows and having premieres. And I was just like, man, I hope people are watching this. Like you're saying, you just had no idea. And thank God you got a season two and now a season three. Wanted to shift gears to reality
Okay.
TV, which you are, of course, a veteran of with Drag Race and the Traitors. Recently, you and Frankie Grande, along with GLAAD, released a petition for reality television casting to be more inclusive. Can you talk a little bit
Mhm.
about what inspired y'all to do that and what the response was like?
Yeah, I mean, this was born out of, speaking of the actors and writers strike, I actually was given the opportunity to go into Traders during the actor strike. And it was the perfect opportunity because, I didn't have anything else going on at the time. And I really did enjoy doing the Traders. I'm happy that I did it, I should say. Of course, I wasn't that surprised to hear that Frank had sort of had similar feelings about his experiences on Big Brother and in reality TV in general. Reality TV in general, especially reality competition television, could use for a bit of an update. And, like trans people and queer people and LGBT people are entertaining. We know this. And so including us in they know that, and they know that too, which is why they have one of us on every season of whatever it's going to be. They always have one. And it would be great if they weren't afraid of having more than one. And so this is our invitation, is saying to them, listen, we are viewers. Like when we are viewers, the queer community watches all of the reality show, just like everybody else does. And we know that you all know that because we see how your networks and platforms interact with the fan bases that you love so much. What would they be without the fan base? And the best way to gauge that fan base are what's happening on social media and hear what the conversation is that the viewers are talking about. And the people that are talking the most about all your little shows are the LGBTQ people. We're the ones that come up with the memes. Ain't no cis straight guy coming up with no Real Housewives meme. Ain't happening. And so we will let you know where you're failing and where you're not, and we're letting you know. There's some room for improvement here, darling.
I love that. And it was great to hear Alan Cumming talking about wanting the Traders to do a better job on season two and then seeing them follow through with that with a much more LGBTQ cast.
Hmm.
Do you think you would ever want to go back to the workroom or the castle? Or are there any other reality shows you would have your sights on?
Let's say if someone says, here is a starring role in a Netflix series, but instead you can go to the workroom again and you'd have to turn down I think I would probably not turn down a starring role in a scripted television show. I went to school for acting and that's my first love. And so as much as I love spending all of my money getting outfits together to go fly somewhere to be sent home on the first day, I'd rather not have to buy anything and be paid to just go and act and have them do the outfits and all the hair and all the stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. It is a luxury to show up on set and just have the one job of acting.
Hello.
Now that we're getting into Pride Month, I was wondering what your favorite memories are of Pride in New York City.
I, you know, my, I've had first of all, I've done a lot of fun things, and I don't even know if I remember them all. But I will say that since I've been around since the '90s doing Pride in New York, uh, New York Pride is one of my favorites. I mean, I love Pride in general. New York Pride is definitely one of my favorites. This year, I also celebrated World Pride in DC, and that was fantastic as well. Every year, Pride seems to change, and there's a new opportunity to have some create some new memories. This year, my focus is much more on community and our community and the needs of our community than it's ever been before, personally. One of my earliest New York prides was when I was working at Tunnel Nightclub, great big nightclub down. It's closed now, and we worked on Saturday night at the club, and we said, "Hey, have Miss Feathers, who was fabulous tailor and designer, bring in some outfits." We all chipped in, got rainbow stretch spandex, and she ran that spandex through that sewing machine and brought in the next day a bag of all the spandex. We all picked our little outfit that was like this big, but then you'd stretch it and it would cover your whole body. Uh, and we wore them the next day. We just stayed at the club, went to go eat, put makeup on over top of our faces that were cracking, and went to do the parade. And we were so excited because the club had a float, like a convertible and a car and a float and everything. And they're like, "We want the queens, we want the queens." And of course, it was nobody's going to get paid to do it. We're like, "Okay, we'll go." And so we show up, and they're like, "We got to float, we got to float." And we're so excited for the float, and we're just for the float. And we get there, and of course, it's all just a bunch of gay boys and go-go boys are riding in the float, and they're like, "No, you drag queens need to walk behind the car."
Absolutely not.
Are you kidding? We walked that whole thing in heels with these gay boys in sneakers on the float. I was so mad. I was like, "Are you kidding? Here's a good old misogyny rears its ugly head again." Yeah, that was a memory.
You were going for sainthood that day. I was going to say the high
Yes, I was like, "Oh my
really
gosh."
gotten you in
Yeah.
the car.
Our feet were numb by the time we got down into the village, and so it didn't matter by the end of it. But I was like, I can't believe we're like, "You're not allowed to ride in the car."
That parade is long to watch, so I cannot
It's
imagine walking the entire thing in high heels.
I don't know how many miles it is, honey. This was epic. It was started up on like 60th Street on the Upper East Side and went down to like the damn near the Bowery.
Well, speaking of yesteryears in New York, I was wondering back when you
Are you
and
calling me old, darling? How dare you?
we're the same age. Uh,
Okay, okay.
Back when you and Bianca and Bob were doing shows at places like Barracuda, R.I.P.,
Yeah.
Vlada, R.I.P., Therapy,
Mm.
R.I.P. Were you dreaming of a future like this where you were starring on Broadway and on TV shows? Did that seem possible at the time?
I have to say, it wasn't even in my vision, and that's kind of want to say, but like, no. I First of all, I was just happy to like get a job, and because when I first started, when I was working back at the tunnel, I used
Mhm.
to have to pay to go, and I would be in drag there. I was not an employee at first. I was just like paying to go, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, instead of me paying to enter, why don't you all just let me come for free?" And I'll work for free. I'll work it off. And I thought that was like some kind of brilliant idea. Capitalism really got me good, honey. I wasn't asking for anything. I was walking behind cars. And so it took a lot for me to envision that I would be worthy of, doing something great. I certainly didn't think that like these opportunities existed, because at the time they didn't, when I first started out. And so every single thing that I've had, I'm grateful. Every single opportunity I've had, that I'm grateful. But I'll tell you the truth. Like, when I first moved to New York City, it didn't even occur to me that I could get paid to be in drag or do drag. like that could even be a job, let alone a career. And so it was always a surprise to me. And I came to New York City knowing that like it's going to be hard as a performer. You're never going to make it. You're probably you're going to have to find other ways to make money. You know, maybe you'll work at the restaurant. Maybe you'll end up being a sex worker because like that's what the reality was. I mean, you know, I know this is a probably family friendly show, but like that was the option, and so that's what was in my mind. Like, ooh, do I have to do sex work in order to pay the bills? And so that's where my mind was. It wasn't you're talented enough to be on Broadway. Like that's just not where it was. And I, you know, watched I've spoken about this before, but I heard John Amos, the father who played the father on Good Times, do a college lecture once, and basically said, you know, you're not a professional actor or anything until you're doing that for a living. And so when I moved to New York City, I started working eventually in the clubs, and I was like, that was my only job, and I was like, oh my gosh, I made it. This is it. I made it. I'm good. Like I'm paying my bills doing what I love. And so I wasn't even like trying to be like, well, next I need Broadway or next I need a Netflix show. I wasn't even thinking any of that. So every single thing that I've done since then, where there's been traveling around the world, going to different continents, Australia and all over Europe and being on television, reality TV, Drag Race, Netflix, having a recurring role on a Netflix show or, any of these things. None of that occurred to me. It's all been like cherry on top.
Well, thank goodness it's all been leading up to this. I remember seeing you when I first moved to New York, and I've been a fan ever since and been rooting you
Aw,
on, and it's been so cool to see everything that you've accomplished. So happy for you.
thank you.
Just last thing, we just have a quick rapid fire round of questions for you to wrap things up
I'm
here.
ready.
All right, first, who is a drag artist you would like to see get their chance on RuPaul's Drag Race?
I don't even know if they've all auditioned, but Keisha Carr, Bootsy LaFerris, Pixie Aventura, my niece.
Love that. And who would you like to see enter the Traitors Castle?
I'm gonna hold that until I see some traders, the invite for traders, uh, a lot more trans inclusive. Um, I wouldn't send anyone to their death. I'd say if the producers are brave enough, they should have on myself, Laverne Cox, T.S. Madison, uh, oh, and Chaya Rychek. If you know,
Uh,
you know.
that would be a round table.
Yes, darling. If you want to see some ratings and you want to see some scrapping, I mean, look, there's definitely not a drag entertainer who's been on Traders, and there's probably not a trans person who's been out in different parts of the world who hasn't actually been ganged up on in order to be excluded or pushed out of a space. And so I want to see those tables reversed. Let's do an all LGBT but all black queer version of the Traders. Let's reverse it, honey. For once, let's try it. Let's see how it will go. Honey, I bet you everybody will be tuning in for that. I mean, that's my thought.
What is your favorite New York bar that doesn't exist anymore?
Oh my gosh. Bring back any of them. Splash, Two Potato. I'd love to work at all of them, honestly, but for selfishly, the tunnel. Like, if I could resurrect the tunnel in the way that it was, then that would be perfect because it was like a very mixed, very, like I want to say all inclusive, but like very mixed, gay, straight, bi, pan, regardless of whatever gender you were, like everybody was there. Everybody would hold space there, and I felt incredibly safe there, especially on Saturday nights. No, I don't care what gender, race, sexuality, anything you were. If you're in here, we're gonna have a good time, and that was the New York City that I fell in love with.
The good old days.
Mm.
What is your dream role in a Broadway musical revival?
Okay, wow, that was not a rapid answer. Sorry. Dream role in a I don't know. I want to play Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street the musical.
Amazing. And finally, what does Pride mean to you?
Pride, oh my gosh, this year it is an opportunity for us to uh, tell people to assert our right to exist in public, to have, more importantly, to have our record and our legacy left. It's very important that queer literature, queer books, queer history, queer films, queer music, queer art not be erased, our names not be removed from the Stonewall Monument Pride, website. Um, that we be, commemorated for our legacy and our contribution to the country, to culture. That's really important. So pride is the my assertion that we are owed those things and that we will take them.
This has been so lovely catching up with you. Congrats again on being part of Pride 50
My
this
pleasure.
year, and
Thank you.
happy Pride, Peppermint.
Happy Pride.